In one of the strangest ways I think we've ever seen, Chase Briscoe has had the cat let out of the bag, and it's been announced that he will be joining Joe Gibbs Racing in the number 19 next year. Except it wasn't Chase Briscoe, or Joe Gibbs, or anyone at the 19 team whatsoever that announced this. Instead, it was Christopher Bell. Bell, who was doing some of his pre-weekend media obligations at New Hampshire, was talking about different things in the future of JGR, and, well, I'll just show you the way that he let it slip.
So, I don't think that there really is a leadership role in that aspect. And whenever Chase comes into the car, whenever I don't even know what to say. Whenever we have a new driver into the 19 car, whoever that is, their experience level will dictate how much input they have in the team.
Oopsie daisy. I'm sorry, man. This just reminds me of all those different times in Marvel media rounds where Tom Holland will spoil something accidentally, and it's the same thing here. I actually really do feel bad for Christopher Bell on this one because there is no way to talk about this announcement whatsoever without talking about Christopher Bell's giant blunder. I'm sure that it might be irritating for Joe Gibbs, but I think long-term this isn't going to be that big of a deal, just probably an inside joke or, well, outside joke for the rest of us NASCAR fans. But basically, yeah, Christopher Bell is Tom Holland now. But let's talk about the news at hand, because it is a pretty big story. Briscoe going to JGR, like a lot of other moves that have happened recently, like, for instance, Haas yesterday, will lead to more questions than answers for the moment. First off is sponsorship. Of course, they're not going to sign somebody who can't attract sponsors, and Chase Briscoe is a hell of a driver. I have no doubt sponsors will line up at Joe Gibbs' door asking to be on that number 19 Toyota. I'm going to assume that some maybe Martin Truex Jr. sponsors and JGR sponsors will scatter themselves throughout the schedule of the 19. Interstate Batteries, maybe Reesers, maybe auto owners. Hell, maybe Bass Pro will stay. But you also have to ask other questions here. Maybe some of Briscoe's sponsors from Stewart-Haas Racing come over. Haas has already said recently that they expect to have their name, the Haas name, on the hood of their whatever car next year, 00070, I don't know. And with that, you're going to have a lot of sponsors up in the air. Mahindra, for instance, is a really big sponsor that seems to love being with Chase Briscoe. So that would be one right off the bat that I'd be betting on. Mahindra has been really good with getting Briscoe in commercials. They've been good marketing him outside of the sport, which is something that 95 to 99% of sponsors nowadays don't do. And they have been front and center for some of the biggest moments in Briscoe's career now. Same goes for High Point. High Point is stuck with Chase Briscoe through the Xfinity days and up into Cup now, and it would not surprise me if maybe they are added to the slate. Or this could completely align with the fact that Kroger had been rumored to go to Joe Gibbs Racing, and with that would be a huge sponsorship built up and lined up in. Either way, whatever sponsorship comes along under that 19 Toyota, it's going to be fully sponsored next year. It's just how the car is going to look is now all we're asking. And with that, with the 19 team, you have to ask some big questions. Communication has been a bit of an issue for Martin Truex Jr. this year, and in recent years. He seems to be more combative over the radio, and there are communication breakdowns on the regular. This probably won't be the same thing with Chase Briscoe, but the question I think arises is how long is that acclimation period going to be for both team, driver, and crew chief? Because that is something that will affect at least the start of next season, and if they go off to a slow start, will affect how they approach the rest of the year when it comes to making the playoffs. And with this too, I think a fresh start should help. James Small and that team have been dealing with a lot of pressure and a lot of outside influence, at least when it comes to talk. And I think with JGR there, it should be something that'll be resolved pretty quick. Joe Gibbs is not one that's going to let something fester over time and become a giant distraction from one driver to the next. I also think that when you look at Briscoe, he is having probably one of the best opportunities a driver can get. And look what he's done so far with SHR. When he jumped up to SHR, they were coming off of a huge season in 2020 with Kevin Harvick, but that was the start of their downfall. And with that as well, you have to look at the fact that in that time, he managed to get a win at Phoenix, finish in the top 10 in points, and then this year, he has been running in contention points-wise for a playoff position. And that is difficult in modern Stewart-Haas Racing. Even without the penalty, Noah Gragson wouldn't be really anywhere near him. And you'll go Ryan Preece is done in that 41 team, and it's nothing really impressive. Yet Briscoe is still competing. He's still somebody who's up in the top 10, top 5 at times. And I think that if he's able to have stability underneath him, not a team that is dying, literally, but instead a team that is thriving, a team that has guys like Christopher Bell, like Ty Gibbs, like Denny Hamlin, guys who are competing for wins and championships around him, that championship culture can rub off really well. Now, on top of that, you do have added pressure. This is a make it or break it opportunity. If he comes in and misses the playoffs or runs terribly, that's on him. And there's nobody else to blame. But I think that's something that he's willing to embrace the adversity. And I think what this will do is really prove if he is the driver up to that task, if he is the driver who dominated back in the day in the Xfinity Series, who beat a prime Kyle Busch one-on-one with a lesser car than Busch had. And I think that when you look at all of this as a big picture, it could be one of the best rise-up stories in recent NASCAR memory of a driver who basically looked to be the next big thing, joins a team that in no way was ready to support him on a championship level, and somehow still gets a better chance after all else fails. I think that this is the best opportunity of Briscoe's NASCAR career, and I don't think he'll ever get an opportunity like this again, so he has to make the most of it. My prediction for Chase Briscoe next year is that he will make the playoffs, and I think he'll get a win or two. I don't think he needs to go out there and dominate, though I think the opportunity and the possibility is there. He just needs to go out there and show he's a top 10 level driver. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to you. How do you think Chase Briscoe will perform in 2025? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for continued support, and until next time, have a good one.